Well, that's not working, so we're going to need this. Welcome to Car Spy TV. Right, quick recap. In the last video, we found out that the Vauxhall Corsa had gone mouldy. There was mould on the seats. That's my phone going off, ignore it. There was mould on the seats, the seat belts, the steering wheel, the door cards and various other places. It was pretty gross. Now, to kill the mould, we sprayed the car liberally with a solution of white vinegar and water, which was then brushed into the fabric and wiped into the steering wheel. That left us with no mould, but inevitably the car's interior was soaking wet. So, to dry the car, we left the doors open, the windows open, the tailgate open and the seatbelts extended, and then I was quite happy to leave it like that for a couple of days to let the sun and a light breeze dry the car out naturally. I was quite happy to let nature take its course. Unfortunately, nature's in a bad mood, and rather than sun and a light breeze to help dry the car, it's -4 degrees Celsius, there's ice everywhere, I'm very cold, and the car is still soaking wet, so we need to be more proactive. And that's where this machine comes into its own. It is of course a dehumidifier, so what we'll do is pop it into the car, then turn it on via that button there. Air from the car, which is full of moisture, will then be sucked into the machine here. Water will then be extracted from that air, and the excess water will be stored in this compartment here. Now let me show you that. It's a little tricky to get it out with one hand, but nonetheless we shall persist. There we are. So the excess water is stored in there, and then we can just pour that away, and then the drier air will emerge from the machine from there. Can you see that? And the whole process should help dry out the car very nicely indeed. I hope. Now, if we have a look down here at the cable, we can see that it has had a repair, and that's because this dehumidifier was viciously attacked by a hoover. Oh dear. Right, where do you think we should stick it then? I'm tempted to pop it in the boot because there's plenty of space around it for air to get sucked in and out. There's also a nice flat stable surface so it won't fall over, but instinctively I'd rather have it more in the middle of the car closer to the seats because that's where most of the moisture is. Let's have a look, shall we? Just need to unhook the belts. Now, let's get that one out of the way as well. So this is more the middle of the car. I wonder if I move the front seats around a bit, whether I can get it down here or down there. I don't really want to balance it on the rear seat because it won't be particularly stable. All right, let's have a go. Right, so let's move the driver's seat as close as we can to the steering wheel and then tilt it like so. And well, we do have a decent sized gap, but of course it needs to be big enough not just for the machine, but for the machine to have a decent amount of airflow. Let's try. Well, actually that way would be better for airflow, wouldn't it? Well, I think that'll do. What do you reckon then? Is that okay? The machine is reasonably stable. It's certainly not going to fall over if someone just leans on the car. As for the air intake here, well, we've got about a hand and a half, so that's okay. And the air outtake at the top here, well, that's completely unobstructed. I do have to find somewhere to plug it in at the moment, which means digging through the garage, trying to find an extension cable. And look how cold it is still. It's mid-afternoon and the windscreen hasn't de-thawed. Now, before we turn on the dehumidifier, let's give it a helping hand by manually drying some of the interior surfaces with this old towel. I say old towel, this is actually Mrs. Car Spy TV's favourite towel, so when she gets home later and tries to wash her hair, there may be some fireworks. I'll risk it. Anyway, when we've done this, I have an important question to ask you. Right, here's that important question I promised you. Now, this of course is a camera tripod and I'm using it to film this video. So, how many legs would you say a camera tripod is supposed to have? I would say 3, and if you agree, well, it turns out we're both wrong because apparently this one is only supposed to have 2. Oh dear. Right, let's find some electricity. We have a 20-metre extension reel here, so that should be plenty. Walkie. All the way over to the car. Okay. Right. Plug it in. And hopefully the machine will turn on. But it is a little temperamental sometimes. Well, it's a bit of beep, so that's encouraging. Pop that there. Okay. We're in business, so we'll leave that for a few hours and see what happens. Actually, before we go, we'll just close the windows because there's no point trying to dehumidify the whole driveway. That would be tremendously ambitious. So, okay, the passenger one's going up. Now, of course, we can't completely close the driver's one because of the extension cable, so we'll just go as far as we practically can without snapping the cable in half. That'll do. Right, many hours have now passed and I brought the dehumidifier indoors because it's dark outside and extremely cold. Anyway, let's see if we've caught any water, shall we? So, out with the little container. Okay. So, if we have a look in the bottom of the container there, we can see a little bit of water sloshing around. It's not tons, but it's nonetheless a meaningful contribution. So that's okay. The car is drier than it was. Now, you may be wondering what would happen if this container completely fills up. Would it just overflow? And the short answer is no. And that's because we have a float just there at the top of the container. So if the water rises and pushes against the float, it goes like so. And that tells the machine to turn off. Clever, eh? So there you go, just a quick update on what's going on today here at Car Spy TV. And as always, if you'd like more updates, you're welcome to subscribe to the channel. Oh, there's a big hole in my sock. All my socks are wearing out at the same time. This one's holed. Last night I threw away a pair. 2 or 3 weeks ago I had to throw away, quite a lot. I've really got to go shopping. I hate shopping. Never mind. See you next time. Bye-bye.